One of Clemson football's greatest program builders is stepping away. We'll talk about it right here on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked On Clemson, and part-time host and producer over on 105.5 FM The Roar. Hopefully you heard me this morning on the Mickey Plyler Show. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you're new to the show, be sure to hit that like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You know how we do it here on Locked On, exclusive Clemson content, Monday through Friday, every single week. You get it from me. We'll talk about what you want to talk about then. That is the Clemson Tigers. And don't forget to follow me in between episodes over on X at the Morgan T Show, where we can talk about all things Clemson really whenever you want. Today's episode, we're going to have a ton of discussion about Joey Batson and his official announcement that he is retiring. It's going to be an end of an era for Clemson. Also, not the only person to be retiring coming up soon, which is Lee Corso, the coach, is going to be stepping away from College GameDay permanently. So we'll be missing him as well. And then we'll end on a high note or a good note. Hopefully the whole podcast is a good note, but we'll end on a good note talking about a potential major boost to recruiting. Gordon Sellars is potentially going to commit to Clemson. We shall see. We'll get his announcement tomorrow. So it's pretty exciting Friday. Good Friday coming up. Hopefully you'll be spending time with your family and friends this weekend and enjoying the good weather that we're seeing. And also maybe enjoying the last Clemson softball matchup or regular season home game against Boston College. And then you've got Clemson versus Louisville this weekend as well. So a lot of Clemson things. And then I just found out this morning, but the first ever Paralympic soccer match for Clemson is going to be hosted at Riggs Field, and it's going to be at 11 o'clock on Saturday. So first ever, pretty cool there, and great support there from the Clemson University. So let's get into the podcast today. I know you're looking forward to it. Just today and tomorrow, and then we'll get you into the weekend. But Joey Batson, retirement at the end of the era. It's bigger to me than just a retirement. Clemson, as I mentioned at the intro, is really losing a foundational piece to what they've had since I've been a fan. Almost my entire lifetime. Joey Batson has been a part of the program. And if you say Clemson, if you say toughness, if you say, development, and strength and conditioning, Joey Batson is that guy that you really first think of. And there's no other name. He's been in charge of it for 29 seasons. And most of you will probably know him if you don't remember, but he does the "This Is Why We Work" video. And in the fourth quarter video. So, that on-field presence is definitely seen and heard, not only by the fans, but the players as well. And the other staff too. But when you lose somebody like this, and he's going to finish out the season, so this will be his final season. But when you lose a guy like this after this season, it is a guy who has been more than a coach. He's been part of building the culture, part of the pulse of the locker room, and, not without some criticism. I know here and there, sometimes it's easy to pick on the strength and conditioning coach when players don't perform at a certain level on the football field, or they get injured, frequently or whatever. But I think a lot of that maybe is a little bit unwarranted because, I do feel like that you don't last this long in college football and aren't an elite level coach, especially a guy who's been able to have a resume like he's had. I mean, when you look at the players that he has been able to coach, and he is a coach, even though he's not a position coach per se, he probably sees the players and has the pulse more of the locker room than anyone else. I mean, what other coach out there outside of maybe the trainers, that are taping up ankles out there, what other player on the staff or person on the staff is spending more time with the players than the strength and conditioning coach. If you look at 29 years, I mean, you're talking about just about everybody that you could think of is has been coached by Joey Batson. So 76 All-Americans, 247 All ACC players, 114 NFL draft picks, 23 first-round draft picks. That is something that I think you can take for granted over time. I mean, that is an elite level, a dynasty level performance for a strength and conditioning coach. And he deserves all the accolades here in his final ride out in his final season with the Tigers. 2 national championships, of course, 7 college football playoff appearances, 9 ACC championships. And I think if you asked anybody, he would be said to have played an integral part of all of that. And many of his assistants have gone on to become strength and conditioning coaches, at other schools across the state, at other schools in the other conferences like the SEC. His impact has definitely been massive across college football and across the Southeast. His ability to get guys to reach the maximum level when it comes to power, speed, explosiveness, just getting specific workouts for positions. It's a blueprint that really you can't take for granted. I mean, it starts when the stadium lights aren't on, as he says in the video, when there's no one looking, when it's just you and your brothers. Hopefully he will continue to do some of those videos. Maybe they can hire him just to do the videos because he does them so well. But you're going to miss a huge, huge presence in the locker room and in the weight room when he is gone. He's a Tiger through and through, a native of Travelers Rest, former tight end, Clemson grad, has 2 sons who also played for Clemson. So that he is bleeding orange, as we like to say. His loyalty to the program has been just unwavered and just, elite. And again, it's not just a coach and it's not just somebody that's in the background, but this is a guy who has left a positive legacy for hundreds. I'm at this point, thousands, right? Because of all the people that you have on a roster every single year. But thousands of young men and women who have been associated with the program walk away with Joey Batson knowing that he gave his all to Clemson. And so I think that we should be very thankful to have had a strength and conditioning coach that has been that dedicated to his craft and been able to get the Tigers to an elite level from his standpoint. Now, why does this really matter to us? I think that this is going to be a kind of a shift. Anytime you change legendary coaches, no matter who they are, there is a shift. You're not going to be able to replicate exactly what you had. There's going to be nuances. There's going to be differences. Even if you have somebody that is as energetic and over the top and really even as motivated or maybe as meticulous as he is, they're not going to be the same person. There's not going to be a true blueprint or fingerprint for the same method. Whoever steps into his shoes is going to have to figure out a way to preserve the culture, to continue to push Clemson to the next level. And hopefully, like what a lot of elite coaches do, bring their own set of ideas and experiences to maybe even help Clemson evolve to the next level. Maybe there are some new techniques and some different ways of approaching the same problem that can move player development to a level that we haven't seen. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it would be very difficult. As I told my wife when we were married, my father-in-law is such a great guy. It was a high bar to set, and I don't know if I can reach it or exceed it ever. But Joey Batson is definitely one of those guys, and Dabo Swinney is one of those guys who they have set an extremely high bar for whoever has to come after them. And it'd be very difficult for anyone to match or reach that level of accomplishment and culture and leadership But whoever it is, they have a big challenge ahead of them. But I think the biggest thing is to stay true to yourself, and whoever they hire, have confidence to know that the university trusts them to be the next phase, the next chapter, if you will, for the strength and conditioning of Clemson football. Let me know what you think over on X. If you're listening here, you can follow me at The Morgan T Show. You can also comment over on YouTube as well. Bittersweet ending to one last ride here. So we got 2025 with them. So, we will definitely miss Joey Batson for sure, and hopefully still get the video. That'll be my thing, because I don't know him personally. But I lived through the video. All right, so segment 2, we're going to talk about another legend. This is a college football legend that will be retiring and giving his farewell to College GameDay. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with marketing campaign or graphic design, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who has delivered incredible results. The reason why I love Upwork so much is because I've been on both sides of the equation. I have been that freelancer who has done graphic design work and marketing jobs on the side to make a little extra money. But I'm also one of those guys who has needed to grow my own business and my own channels, and used freelance experts to help me with social media and marketing and graphic design as well when I didn't have the time to do it. You probably could do everything yourself, but why? When you can go to Upwork and get an expert to help you along the way. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. College GameDay is not going to be the same without Coach Corso, and Clemson fans probably remember a lot of his amazing moments over the years. Lee Corso is officially hanging it up. He's going to do a farewell, and he's not going to be like Joey Batson and do it for the entire season. He's going to stop on August 30th, and it'll be the end for the legendary coach there and college football picker. He is truly college football's showman. 430 headgear picks over the seasons, pulled off stunts with mascots and celebrities, and really has been a staple at the end of the 11 a.m. hour to be ready for that first game at lunchtime on every Saturday. Brought a ton of joy to all fans, college football level, and children, and all ages, really. Millions every single weekend. When he puts that mascot head on, he's going to do it for the last time on August 30th, and it's going to be the end of an era. 90 years old, still bringing the energy, and he is definitely legendary for sure. He's going to be remembered for all of the good times. As you continue to see, as he's getting older, you can tell that he is struggling to keep pace with the production and the needs of the show. But it's very sweet to have him on the show, because, it's kind of a guy that you want to have there. Whether or not he can handle running the entire show or not, that's not the expectation anymore. I feel like fans have grown up with him and give him a ton of grace with how he does his picks. And I know that they've been on borrowed time for quite some time because of all of his health concerns that's gone up and down over the years. But 90 years old, a very full life, and I'm sure one that he is very thankful for. And we are all thankful that he has had the opportunity to be a part of college football. And he's been big as far as Clemson goes too, and always embraced Clemson, always mentioned how good the fan base is. He's been in Death Valley many times. He's picked the Tigers many times. He's seen the roar of, running down the hill, and he felt that. And he's been interacting with Clemson fans. And I saw him there on Bowman Field when he was there for the return with Florida State back in the early or mid 2013s, I guess, mid 2010s, I guess is what you would say. But Clemson fans helped make game day one of those great spectacles. And so I know that he appreciated that. Every time they came to Clemson, it was a huge audience there of fans, even if it was like 4 a.m. in the morning. Saw videos and pictures of people doing that. I personally didn't do that, but I know that a lot of fans love and enjoy going to College Game Day, and he is the main reason behind that. And it's not just laughs and all the antics that he does, but it's also kind of the camaraderie there that he's built with the other staff, especially Kirk Herbstreit. You know, I know Kirk and him have been, father-son kind of relationship there, and it's very sweet there. I know that Kirk's probably going to be very emotional August 30th. I think all of us will be for sure, because he's been such a huge person in our college football lives. I always hated that I knew he was always going to pick Navy, because he's a former Navy coach and I'm an Army guy. I'm an Army veteran. So I always hoped maybe that he would pick Army once, but he never did. And he is definitely a guy who is going to be remembered for sure. Battled back, as you remember, from a stroke. But never really lost that fire and that ability to do the job. And that's kind of what makes him special, and not just a personality, but just kind of woven into what you would say is like the history of college football, as long as he's been around as a player, as a coach, and as a commentator as well. I'm sure, again, it'll be very emotional. I looked at, there's a guy, GameDay.com has a record of literally all of his picks, dating back to the early 2000s, when he really actually the mid 1990 or mid to late 1990s, when he really started. He has picked Clemson. All right, now his winning percentage is 66.5. Okay, he's picked Clemson 14 times, and as much as you want to say, "Oh, I don't want the Corso curse. I don't want to have him pick Clemson and we lose," but the truth is, when I look at it here, he's only lost out of 14 times. When he picks Clemson, he's only lost 3 times. So his most recent one was in 2021. He picked Clemson over Ohio State, and Clemson lost that one, unfortunately. So that was definitely one that, kind of hurt. But he did pick Clemson over Notre Dame. He picked Clemson over Miami back in 2020. He picked Clemson over Wake Forest in 2019, Clemson over Georgia Tech, Clemson over Alabama in 2019 in the national championship game. That was a winner. Picked Clemson over Boston College, which I don't know why I don't remember why they were at playing Boston College there. Clemson over Texas A&M in 2018. Clemson over Miami again in 2017. Clemson over Virginia Tech in 2017. Clemson over Louisville in 2016, Clemson over Alabama. That was a loss. It looks like the 2 losses were really Clemson, Alabama, and Clemson, Ohio State. 2016, he lost. Clemson, Alabama, 2008. God, I remember that one. I don't really want to think about that one. That was a blowout. Clemson over Alabama, and they lost that one as well. And then Clemson over Georgia Tech, which they won that in 2006. Way back. That was the first one ever, it looks like, on this, at least according to this list, which is pretty cool list to kind of go through and see. So if you wanted to look at that's over on GameDayCole.com, where he has a list there. Pretty cool for sure. I think that, it's going to be bittersweet for sure. It kind of goes back to Joey Batson as well. At least you get to have him for the rest of the season, but you're really going to get the start of college football with Lee Corso. You're going to get that one final headgear donning, and you're going to get an intro, I'm sure, from guys like Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit. And, for better or worse, you're probably going to get a monologue from Pat McAfee about it. I know he's polarizing. I get it. Maybe Pat McAfee should probably sit this one out, and let everybody else who's actually worked with him forever speak. That might be a good idea, Pat. We love you. I mean, I actually enjoy your work, but it might be a good idea to let the guys who've worked with him for many, many years give their final tributes and goodbyes. He was such a beloved member of College Game Day and of college, your college morning, really. And it's pretty cool to have been a part of it, Don't be sad because it's over. Be glad that it happened, right? Or you were part of it. So tributes, tears, and one last signature pick. That's what I'm guessing for sure. Corso is definitely a guy who makes you love college football even more. And, I think did Clemson right and respected us really well when he was here, and picked Clemson a ton and had a great record with Clemson for sure. All right, I'm going to finish up the show talking about Clemson being in the mix for a top wideout for the 2026 class, and that is Gordon Sellars. I'll give you a little bit of thoughts on him and where Clemson lies and what we can expect from tomorrow's commitment. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team to cover the spread. That's pretty basic. That's there. Or diving into those fun player props that get it a little bit more challenging, but it's always smooth and intuitive. And you can bet on who's going to hit like the most 3-pointers, who gets the most who racks up a double-digit assist, whether your guy's going to get a triple-double or not. You can make it the way that you want it. And even you can throw in a few things during a game or even mid-game. It makes every possession feel like it matters, or at least matters more than it used to. And here's the kicker. You can have something called a same-game parlay, where you can combine multiple bets after tip-off and even live ones. So for the shot, and you can get a big payout. That's the kind of action that keeps it fun to the final buzzer when you're watching NBA. Don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. That's FanDuel.com. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right. There's a big wide receiver that is on the market right now from the high school ranks, and it is Gordon Sellars. And he is a local guy from Providence Day, right there around Charlotte, and could be a huge boost to the wide receiver room. Can Tyler Gresham land another one? Can Dabo Swinney land another one? We've already talked about how Clemson is kind of building their way back into that wide receiver mentality and roster where you just have so many weapons that you just can't stop it, right? And they've already got that now this year. Are they going to continue to keep building it? It seems as if they've got a good chance for sure. If Clemson and Dabo Swinney and staff land Gordon Sellars, to me, it proves that, they're back to just continuous classes year over year of wide receivers that are elite. And that's the way we want to see it at Clemson. That's what Dabo Swinney prides himself in, because Dabo Swinney was a wide receiver himself to start out. So Sellars is the real deal. 6'3", 175 right now from Providence Day, and he's been just torching defenses. When you look back at his junior year, 50 overall catches, 975 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And he actually missed a few games last season. Over 1,500 career yards already, and he's still developing. He is not finished for sure. He's still got a senior season to go. Clemson's offense could really use a guy like this in the 2026 class to just keep building on what they already have. You're going to have to keep recycling through, because you've got guys that are going to graduate or going to go to the NFL early. And when you get better players, then you have to have a risk of that, but you need to be ready and prepared. And Clemson has prioritized him, and it shows. He's been to Death Valley many times. He came for the Stanford win. I got down that he came for the South Carolina game. He also, I have also down that he came for the spring game. I believe he came to the elite retreat as well. He is quoted on some of the websites out there saying that Clemson is a brotherhood to him, and it feels like that to him already. To me, the opportunity to get in and be part of a brotherhood is a huge impact and in his recruitment. I think that he likes that a lot. I feel like that, he will get an opportunity to play. Clemson, even though they have a lot of weapons, they're not opposed to playing wide receivers early. So there is competition in the mix. There's always competition when you get these elite level wide receivers or just players in college football in general. But I do think Clemson is in very good shape. You've got the likes of Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, and of course, Notre Dame, and then South Carolina, the in-state rival. South Carolina obviously has proximity. Clemson has maybe more tradition and a better trophy case than South Carolina. Ohio State is making a late push. You know, the defending national champions are out there, so you got to be careful with them. And then Michigan, I saw an article where they feel good as well after a recent visit with him. So Clemson, needs to keep the pressure on and try to continue to show that they are super interested and they'd love to have him. But it's kind of at the end now, the finish line, to see how all that recruiting work comes to fruition. The crystal balls are in, some maybe to Clemson, some to other places, but Clemson's wide receiver legacy also, I think, plays a big deal for this as well. Tomorrow will be the day. We'll find out where he is actually going to end up. And I think this is a guy too, the more you listen to some of his interviews, he's a blueprint guy. You know, he is high character, focused on academics, wants to contribute early, likes the family and the brotherhood culture, has had opportunities to be around the current Clemson wide receivers, and he seems to enjoy his time. If Clemson wins the recruiting battle, the bottom line for me is that the Tigers are continuing to evolve and adapt, and they're closing in on elite talent no matter what happens in the nature of college football. And that's the kind of culture that you want. That's the kind of success that you want in recruiting, because recruiting will build towards consistency. Consistency will build towards championships. And this wide receiver in Sellars could do that. It'd be nice to have a Sellars on our side of the team, or our side of the rivalry this year. But not the same, obviously, because he's not related. But, you know, Gordon Sellars is great. I think that when you watch his film, he just has a knack for getting open. You know, I mean, he's definitely a guy that can go get the deep ball. He's definitely a guy who can, run the slant and even run wide receiver screens. But every single route that I see from him, it is very crazy, because he has like 3 or 4 feet off the guy every time, whether it's in front of him or behind him, or even vertically, even laterally across the field. He seems to just figure out a way to get open, you know, and that space makes it much easier for the quarterback to find you and hit you. So if Clemson wins this recruiting battle, I think it's another sign that the Tigers are continuing to build towards elite level recruiting at the offensive side of the ball. You know, I've told you this a couple of weeks ago. I felt as if Clemson kind of over time fell off on offensive recruiting. They continued the defensive side of the ball, and they were still high level elite guys, 5-star guys defensively. But really, after DJ kind of flopped, it seemed to struggle, you know, going forward. DJ and Joe Ngata really didn't turn out the way that we thought. And so the recruiting really suffered after that. And now Clemson seems to be gaining a lot of momentum on the offensive side of the ball. And hopefully we'll get some even more good news on Friday as well. I appreciate everyone being a part of the show. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL Draft with Damon Parson and Keith Sanchez as your favorite collegiate players get ready for the next level. Get in and get familiar with the latest draft rankings, rumors, and news every day. Find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I appreciate the love and support. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe if you like the video. I say this always. You do this if you like the video. If you don't like the video, hey, give me another chance. Give me another show. I promise you'll eventually like it. You'll love it for sure. You'll find out why Clemson is so great to talk about, and why this is such a great community. Thank you so much for being part of the show. I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, Tiger fans, I'll see you at the top of the hill.